Happy 2024, my friends. I am so glad to be here today and to be bringing a message to you. I want to tell you some things since 2023 has left us and we're here in 2024. I was meditating this morning and I got some messages to bring in. I was feeling grateful for the things that have gone past me in 2023, as it was a huge year of lessons and growth that in the beginning of the year I never would have expected. As a matter of fact, the beginning of my year was one of the hardest years yet. I thought I was on the trajectory of a peaceful time. I had no idea what was going to come in the future. It was almost like a trick of the mind, almost Neptunian in a way, where I thought I was getting back on my feet after so much loss the year before, and everything got jerked out from under me, and I went through another period of homelessness. But this time, it was true homelessness, where I didn't even have a couch to sleep on. I had a vehicle. That's it. And I was in the back seat of that vehicle every night. And I had to rely on the fact that I had lost every single thing in my life except for that car. Before I acquired that car, I had a car that was stolen, and I didn't even have that. And that's when I thought things were looking up, because I was able to get a different job. I was able to get back and forth and make enough money to get a new vehicle, and then I lost that job. It was crazy. It was almost unbelievable, like a sad country song in a way. But I'm telling you that because you need to know a little bit about my story. If you're going to watch me and hear my advice, you got to know where I came from. I was born and raised in East Tennessee, the Knoxville area. I was raised to a Christian Southern Baptist family where you didn't question God ever, and you went to church every time the doors were open. I became a Sunday school teacher as my time went on. I raised my children in that faith and belief system. But I wanted to do it different. I just wasn't allowed to, really. And until the death of my father and my beloved Brian, and some other losses in my family and in my personal life that I won't go into. If you want to hear those stories, you can go back. During my time of struggle and during my homeless period, I was making live videos on my Facebook page. My name is Jamie Setzer, Setser, on there. You're more than welcome to go check that out. I also have a Facebook page called Southeastern Soul Tribe and a group. Either way, you guys have heard that if you're listening to my channel already. But I come here to tell you that through those lessons and through the times of homelessness and being on the bottom, I come to know that the only thing that got me through every single day was faith. In that time period, I was releasing attachments. Sometimes you think you're not attached to anything when really you are. Sometimes you're attached to your ego and you can't even see it. Sometimes you're attached to things you think you have to have, and you don't. Because when you lose everything, when you've been on top and you've owned homes, multiple cars, and always going on vacations, and anytime you want to, you can go out to eat or order DoorDash. Thank God for DoorDash, by the way. It's what fed me while I was out there. Eagerly searching for jobs, knowing that I have a degree and 25 years under my belt of banking and finance, where I couldn't even still find a job. You know why? Because Spirit didn't want me there. I needed to lose. I needed to lose everything. I needed to lose the loves of my life. I needed to lose contact with my own children and my grandchildren. The hardest things to separate yourself from. It's death after death after death. Friendships. As your eyes open and you begin to awaken, you move out into a space where all you can see is the truth. The truth is scary. You have to have grit and you have to be able to face those things. But if they were all taken away at one time, instead of peeled away in multiple layers like an onion, only then is when you're actually able to see, because it's only done in layers. If the Band-Aid was ripped off all at one time, some people would commit suicide. I went through a time period of that too. Early on. I realized during that time period that I experienced great grief, loss of beloved family members to death, watching them slowly die. However, I couldn't see the forest for the trees, but I had to keep persevering. At that time, I was being strong and not happy. And one day it all hit me that I was just being strong. And I wondered, what was it all for? Now, that wasn't just 2023. No, 2023 was a recap and a sewing together of lessons that had happened over a period of many, many years. I've learned a lesson in astrology that if I go all the way back to 2008, that's when Pluto went into Capricorn. That's when my life changed. My eyes slowly began to open. It looks like this. But guess what? You don't even realize that your eyes are opening. All you can see during the opening period is the time when somebody passed away, or you got a divorce, or God forbid, the loss in death, sickness, or tragedy to a family member who you loved and expected to be around forever. God forbid it be a family member or a loss of someone that was younger than you, who never ever should have left your life according to the rules of society and what we deem as life as we know it and the way it should be. As my great friend Miriam Kramer would say, don't shit on me and I won't shit on you. Speaking of Miriam with Point Your Compass, she's absolutely a blessing to me. Never ever did I know when I started watching Miriam early on. She was just another face in the YouTube. When I realized how long that I had dabbled and read in the tarot in secret, and I thought, all these people are getting on YouTube and they're doing the very thing that I learned many years ago, but I had to learn it in the closet. Some of us in society can understand what closet living is, but we've attributed it to being interested in the same sex, homosexuality, and things like that. However, living in the closet tends to be something that we all do in some way, form, or manner. It's the mask you hide behind every day to appease someone else's feelings and opinion about who you are or should be. Who are you really? Have you looked inside? Have you looked around at your homes and your possessions and thought, I have all this, yet I have no peace. I'm worried about when this bill is due. I'm worried about how to pay this. I'm afraid my old man's cheating on me. I'm afraid my kid's going to die if they get out there and drive that car. All the while we think of those things that in this life, we're afraid of those. They're fear. I'm afraid if I don't go to church that the people at church will think there's something wrong, and then they'll knock on my door and actually might walk in and find something that they wouldn't find tasteful because I'm concerned about what the people at church think about me, you know, even though they have the same two legs and two arms that I do. God forbid they don't. However, most people do. And we forget that we're all wearing these skin suits. We all came into this world naked, some of us very alone, and some of us with a room full of people staring at us. And we didn't even know, but in ourselves, we were alone. When you leave this world, you'll leave that way as well. An ego death will bring you to a place where you understand that there's absolutely nothing in this world that you need other than faith and hope and grit. That's the will to live inside of you and the hope for better days. Without that, human existence would not be here. It's very important for us to understand and go into 2024 knowing that for all these years we have come to a point where we have made everything in our lives based on possessions, status. 9 times out of 10, if you walk up to someone and you say this, "So how are you?" If I look you in the eye and said, "Tell me about yourself," what's the first thing that comes out of your mouth? It's probably goes something like this, because this used to be mine. "I'm a mother of 2 children. Now I would say they're grown, and a grandparent of 4. The truth is, I don't get to see any of them. I used to say, I have a 25-year in banking, 25 years or 20, however many years it was back then, of banking and finance." I'd talk about my career first off. You know why? Because we decided as society that how much money you make, the possessions you own, your status in society equals the value of yourself. We forgot about integrity. You know, the things that you do when nobody's looking. We all preach about it. Do you walk the walk? Do you? So I ask you today, in 2023, can you reflect back all the way to '08 and think about lessons that you've learned? I used to think the lessons I learned was, well, this and this happened to me, so I'll never do this, this, and this again. Well, you're right, almost. But this thing that I wouldn't do again is love again, give all my heart again. I wouldn't go talk to that person again because they hurt me. I was wrong in all that. Because every person that comes across your path is a reflection of yourself. And something I realized during a major ego death, and if you don't know what that is, perhaps 2024 will bring an understanding to that. In order to encounter a full ego death, you have to have a complete loss. And then once you start building up again, and you've had the ego death, then you can recognize the ego in others. Ego, in a healthy way and regulated, is necessary. But ego needs to go hand in hand with humility, being humble authentically. I was downstairs uh, trying to settle down the dogs because they were having a fit. And I saw the Art of War deck that Miriam has on the desk down there. I didn't want to use it in my readings, but I did ask Spirit as I shuffled and meditated, what are the messages that you'd have for me and the collective today? I want to know what we have learned throughout 2023 and what are the messages going forward in 2024. And I did the same with the moon cards. And I just want to go over those with you real quick because I think that in everything there's no coincidence. And absolutely here, there is a message coming into me because as I was doing it, my left ear was ringing. The chills were going up my spine, and I know exactly when Spirit's talking to me because I've been ripped down to nothing so that I could hear my power. Spirit, God, whoever you claim to be your deity, I'm not here to determine that because that's very personal for you and it's very personal for me. That's the point, right? Of our individuality and our free will. So going forward, the first one that came out was this. Sun Tzu said, thus it may be known that the leader of armies is the arbiter of the people's fate. The man on whom it depends whether the nation shall be in peace or in peril. And here's the advice from that. Learn to tell good advice from bad. Advice is freely available to us every single day, all day. How you deal with it, all is on you and no one else. The key decisions are yours to make. In order to withstand the ups and downs of life, it is essential that you learn how to tell good advice from bad in order to find peace instead of peril. I've come to know that through times of peril, though, there comes great wisdom. And wisdom from experiences had can oftentimes stick with you and be way more valuable than any book knowledge you'll ever receive. Though I've spent a lifetime seeking book knowledge because I thought that was the key, and it was a key, not the key to everything. One thing that I've learned and one thing that came into my spirit was understanding that as humans, and the fact that we all have free will, it was a birthright given to us, that you can never really tell what's going to happen in the future. It's our carnal minds and our ego that wants to know always. However, if we knew everything before we took a step, how would we ever have any level of natural dopamine that just rushes through our body? Excitement, healthy fear. Yes, there is a healthy fear. It's adrenaline. It's a rush of going into the unknown. Because only then, when you can rush into the unknown, can you find the grit that's within you, the bravery that it takes to walk into conditions where you don't know what's going to happen. And you willingly and bravely walk into those conditions. You can be prepared, but you can never be prepared for everything. Now we can know through our hands of astrology and our processes that we've learned thus far in society that yes, we now know that we spent all that time in Capricorn. We also understand now that the planet alignments are allowing Pluto to go into Aquarius. And we have learned over time what Aquarius means. And I think it's rather fitting considered what we've been through. the homeless on the streets, the struggles that we have. Even what used to be middle class and abundant families are now struggling to feed themselves. More than one person is having to work, and our children are being raised by others. We wonder why they're shooting in the schools, why we're killing our own people, almost committing genocide as they are overseas right now. Why? Why? You ask? We stop caring about fellow man. Really? It's more about power and control. And the only way to regain power and control in a healthy manner is for it to start at home, for us to be brave enough to take a step as leaders into the unknown and decide today that you will be the change in the world that you expect. Because, yes, you do matter. Every one human does matter. We understand with the processes of thought, passion, and all the things that it takes to make and create a movement, that it has to start with somebody. Now, don't talk to me about how brave you are if you aren't brave enough to face your own demons. Are you brave enough to go into the unknown of your own life? Are you brave enough to release yourselves from the strongholds of life that make you unhappy? That's what 2024 will be about. It says this: argue with respect. As we've all learned, if both parties can remain respectful of one another during an argument, then the resolution will be something worth having. A serious argument can end in the destruction of a relationship, leaving devastation for both the defeated and the conqueror. An authentic victory is a victory over aggression, one that respects the enemy and renders further conflict unnecessary. That's a lesson that I definitely learned this year, arguing with respect, because I used to be out of control. A person who cannot come forward with their opinions without the consideration of someone else's has no ability to go into a fair confrontation. That person has no business fighting larger battles for humanity or anything else. No business whatsoever. Because you can hear words every day coming out of someone else's mouth, but until you learn to listen, think about, chew on, pick and choose the pieces of those things within that argument that allow you to move forward in your life, and go within and listen to the alignment of spirit around that. It's then that you can actually process completely what someone says to you or the advice that may be coming to you from unsuspecting places. So I say that to say this: don't be fooled. The word deception doesn't just mean lying or deceiving people with evil intent. Magicians, secret Santa presents, or surprise parties use deception. Good. So deception is not inherently bad or good, but we are exposed to it every single day in politics, advertising, books, and movies. Sun Tzu says that you need to be able to understand deception to be skilled in seeing through it. All warfare is based on deception. When able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. You ever meet those people that say, I keep my enemies close? Most of them do. Strategic fighters will. Where's your heart when you think of conflict and fighting? Communication is key. Your commitment is being tested. Meditate and contemplate. Believe in the impossible. The end of a tough cycle approaches. What do you need to release? People, places, things, toxicity, habits. Be bold. Make the first move. You are good enough. Whatever you do, don't let pride get in your way. It's time, people, to show the world the real you and step out of your comfort zone. That's the order our advice came out in. And I allow Spirit to say everything to me that's needed. I encourage you for 2024 to try to bring light and love into the scenario. We're all going to start to feel our hearts light up in that way. We're going to wobble a little back and forth from now until January the 20th. We're going to get a little taste of it. When we realize that we're all connected and we're all one, then you understand that what you do to the least of your brother, you do unto yourself also. I'm wearing white today in hopes that we bring in love and light to 2024. And I hope that you'll tune into my channel as I have other messages that come in from Spirit so often. And I'd love to share them with you. In the meantime, I read tarot and try to help you navigate your relationships. I'll be back later today with a post where we will get together and go over whichever sign I'm on today. I think it's Libra. I'll put out a couple of shorts, and I'm also filling in for Miriam Kramer on Point Your Compass this week on her Patreon channel. If you're not subscribed, it's $7 a month to her Patreon, Point Your Compass. If you want to get some other points of view with the tarot reads, which she does, but she's also one of the most phenomenal astrologers that you will ever meet. I am a student of astrology with her, and she's on a vacation this week, and so I'll be over there doing live reads if you belong to our Patreon channel called Point Your Compass. Miriam Kramer with a K, Kramer. Go check it out, subscribe to her channel, and you'll be able to catch me on there as well. As my channel grows later on, I will be having tiers like that on Patreon as well. But for right now, that's where we're at. I am wishing each and every one of you a wonderful 2024. I'm happy to serve you and humanity with this channel because this is my outreach to the world with the message that I know that I'm appointed to give. I love each and every one of you. I wish you healthy growth, healthy families, and healthy lives in 2024. I hope prosperity is wondrous for you, whatever that means for you. Love and light. Happy 2024. May God be with us all.